Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I just want to share with you guys my current progress on what I am doing in life. So for many of my viewers, I've actually kind of postponed my mukbang because I'm actually preparing for a men's physique competition that I just want to do. Alright, so for the purpose of this video, I really want to share I guess I just want to share what I did to my diet to help out many people understand how to lose weight. Actually, at least how I personally lose weight. I think the most biggest drawback of what I've been through the past couple of weeks is that I haven't had a massive mukbang for a while because, I really want to do a mukbang. But I promise you guys that I will be back my mukbang game 10 weeks from now. So currently I am about 10 weeks out to my competition, and right now I am weighing at 157.8 pounds, and I started my journey around 164. If you haven't seen my first vlog, then there's a link to that right here. If you haven't seen it, that's okay. Basically, what I did is that I am in fact tracking my macros. So my caloric deficit, right, for my macros is 300 grams of carbohydrates, 180 grams of protein, and also around 80 grams of fat. So in total, I lost about a good 6 pounds in 3 weeks. So how did I do it? What did I do to my diet in order to achieve this? Now, before I begin discussing and breaking down literally each day on what I did in order to achieve this, I need to tell you guys that I actually have a little blueprint on what I do in order to get to the shredded competition level. So of course what I do is that I basically keep the same amount of macros I eat every day. And the only macronutrient that I need to take out in order to lose weight is carbohydrates, because carbohydrates is going to be our main source of fuel, keeping fats and protein consistent pretty much throughout the whole entire time. The only time that I need to drop fat is if I don't have any more space to cut out, and I don't have any more space from carbohydrates to cut out, and that is when, yes, I will indeed cut out fats. I will go over why I cut out some fats in the next couple of seconds or so too as well, because I just didn't need that much fat anymore. So after I cut down my carbohydrates, I then get to a point in which I no longer want to cut down my carbohydrates, and I began a process called carb cycling. So what is carb cycling? Carb cycling is basically, in my definition, a process in which you manipulate your carbohydrates each day, and you kind of keep it in a consistent manner too in order to lose weight. And of course, when you're carb cycling, the only macros that is changing is carbohydrates. Fats and protein is going to be consistent throughout the whole entire process of carb cycling. Now, some individuals on YouTube and whatnot in the fitness industry, they like to macro cycle. They like to switch up the fats and carbs at the same time. If they're not eating a lot of carbohydrates one day, they'll actually increase the fats. But for me, I do not like that because it's going to keep your body into an inconsistent manner. I rather have my fats the same, my protein the same, and the only macros that is switching is carbohydrates. It just makes more sense to me like that. So why does carb cycling work in order for fat loss? It's because carb cycling, you're playing with carbohydrate, the macronutrient that controls pretty much the metabolism hormones, leptin and insulin mainly. And so what happens when you switch up carbohydrates, your metabolism is going to be a little bit different. It can increase, it can lower, it can increase, and therefore it's triggering your body every time. You're gonna, as a result, lose fat. I think the concept of carb cycling is very simple, and as long as you understand the basic concept that if your metabolism is like this and you have a cheat day, or more importantly, a high carbohydrate day where you'll eat carbohydrate a lot, where you keep fats and protein the same, your metabolism will boost up. But then the reason why there's fat loss is because it's slowly degrading throughout the week. It's not gonna go immediately down again because that's not how the body works. What the body does is that It's like a gas pedal for the car. As you step on the gas pedal, it's gonna rev up, and then as you slowly let go of the gas pedal, it's gonna slowly decrease, but then your metabolism is still high, and that's how fat loss occurs. So now that we got that out of the way, let's discuss on what I did each day in order to get to the situation I am right now. I would also like to make an important note stating my training routine, and I'm not going to go too deep on it because it's pretty much going to be throwing the topic out of this video. But pretty much I do a day 1 push, day 2 back, day 3 push, and day 4 legs, and of course I add shoulders on one of those days too. And I keep that the same, and on day 5 I rest and I repeat that. Now an important thing to know is that this only works for me. I eventually switched it over time because I wasn't recovering well enough. So an important note is that when you are on your weight loss journey, it is important to use a process called periodization, which is basically switching your workouts, mainly the intensity higher and the volume lower, so you can accommodate for the recovery that you have with such just minimal calories that you are eating too. Okay, so let's now get on to the real big part of this video. I'm gonna be going over day by day on what I did in order to achieve what I am today. So throughout the first week of my journey, I eventually cut my fats from 80 to 60 simply because 80 was just too much. I felt kind of sluggish and slothy, so I decided, you know what? My body is preferring carbohydrates more. It would make sense in order to drop 20 grams of fat and just resume with what I am right now. So then my new macros was 300 grams of carbs, 60 grams of fats, 180 grams of protein. I did about 20 minutes of cardio every day too, even on my rest days. I increased it to 40 minutes on the days that I didn't work at all. And I will explain later how those days occur. So with those macros, it was a hard struggle because the first week my body was not reacting at all. In fact, it was staying the same when I cut down 50 grams of carbohydrates and 20 grams of fat. So why is it doing that? And it's simply doing that because as you try to cut down, your body will do the exact opposite because that's how the body is. It will try its hardest to resist to not lose weight and keep on that fat. So eventually I got down to 163.6 pounds. I will now be showing the exact date of the day that I weighed myself. And on this day, I weighed 163.6. And guess what? My macros at this point was 250 grams of carbohydrates. And of course, like as always, protein and fats is gonna be the same. 60 grams of fat, 180 grams of protein throughout the whole entire process. The only thing that's changed is carbohydrates. So I got to this point, 163.6 at 200 grams of carbohydrates. My body is just resisting. So what I decided to do is now carb cycle. I think I was about a week and a half throughout this diet right now, and I was just so stressed out because I was at 163.6, my weight just wasn't going anywhere, and I've already dropped my carbohydrates by 100. So then this is what I decided to do. I decided to carb cycle. I decided that on this day, I am going to be getting the cycle of day 1, high day, day 2, low day, day 3, medium day. This stands for high carb day for day 1, low carb day for day 2, and medium carb day for day 3. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is that for those 3 days, right, if you were to average out my carbohydrate intake, it would still be 250 grams of carbohydrates, correct? But by the end of the day, if a person was to eat 250 grams of carbohydrates, hence me, and while they do this cycle of 300, 200, 250, they wake up on day 4 lighter. So here's what happened, guys. So stick with me, guys. I'm still on this day right here. I woke up stressed out because I wasn't going anywhere. I decided to begin my day 1 and increase my carbohydrates to 300 this day. I woke up the next day, right? And of course, I obviously weighed higher. I weighed 164.2, about a half pound gain. And obviously the reason why I gained is because I had a higher carb day the day before. Now, following the protocol, on this day, I'm to follow a low day. So on this day was 200 grams of carbohydrates. Remember, we're keeping protein and fats the same. Now the next day comes after the low day. Now guess how much I weighed on this day? 164.2. What in the world is going on to my hormones inside of my body? I just gained even more weight even after a low day. Now check this out. I was stressed, of course, but then it's the learning of the process and the trusting of the knowledge that I know that got me to the process that got me to where I am today. Remember, we're following the protocol still. On this day is medium day, 250 grams of carbs. So after medium day, that morning, guess how much I weighed? That morning I weighed 162.4. How the hell did I just lost a pound of fat in 3 days? Now that's the magic of carb cycling. I got my hopes up again. Now, as you can see, for the next basically ongoing days, I'm following the process of medium, high, low, and it does not matter if the high day or the medium day or the low day lands on a rest day. It doesn't matter because we're keeping the cycle the same and the carbs are still playing its factor. It does not matter if it's a rest day. This also means that some days I had a low day on a leg day, but it doesn't matter because the day before the low day was a high day, so I still had a lot of energy for my leg workout that day. So on the day I hit a new weigh-in, that day is high carb day, hence 300 grams of carbs. After that day, I weighed 162.6, only a 0.2 pound gain, which is pretty good. On the same day is low carb day, 200 grams of carbs. After low carb day, my weigh-in is 162, pretty good. Now still following the plan, it's medium day, 250 grams of carbs. I ate that. The next day, I weighed in at 163.2. I noticed that my weight was stalling already because the prior after medium day, I lost weight. But this time after medium day, I didn't lose weight. So this is what I decided to do. After this day, the next day comes, is high day. But instead of eating 300, I switched my high to 250. This means that my new low is 150, my new medium is 200, and of course, as I said just now, my new high is 250 grams of carbs. So as you can see, I'm switching the carbs, and if I notice that I'm hitting a sticking point, I am just slowly decreasing the macros. So as mentioned, on this day, it is high carb day of 250 grams of carbs because I switched it. The following day is low, and my weigh-in is 163.8. Now, yeah, of course, I weigh a little more because I technically had a high day the day before. But of course, on this low day, I ate 150 grams of carbs. The next day, medium day, guess how much I weighed? 160.8. Pretty damn amazing, right? The pattern keeps going and going. The next day, which is high carb day, I weighed in at 160.8 again, which is pretty good. Then on that day, it is high carb day. Remember, 250 grams of carbs. Now the day after that day, which is, remember, 250 grams of carbs, that's high carb day because I switched it up. I went to 160 pounds the next day. You see, the cycle just works. It just works because we're switching the macros all the time. This is what happens to the weight loss. You're increasing your weight, but then it goes down. Increasing the weight, and then it goes down. Now, following the day that I weigh 160 pounds, that's low day. Remember, it's still, my fat loss is still occurring, so there's no need to change the cycle yet. And so now I'm at 150 grams of carbs still. It's low day, right? I woke up the next morning, which is, the next morning is medium day. I'm at 159.2. I'm losing weight about 2 pounds every 6 days, or 2 pounds or roughly 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds every week. Now I did this process, and of course, I saw a sticking point each time and I switched it. Right now I am at 100 grams of carbs for low day, 150 grams of carbs for medium day, and 200 grams of carbs for high day. And my metabolism right now is just working so fast. Eventually I will give myself a refeed day and eat a lot of donuts. I don't know when I'm gonna do that, but then I will listen to my body. The thing about fat loss is that it's about natural instincts. And this is why I love to emphasize self-coaching a lot, because it builds a lot of trust within and it's just so much more satisfying. So yeah, yesterday was low day. Yesterday I had 100 grams of carbohydrates, and today, which is medium day, I weighed in at 157.8. Now the weight loss is still occurring. My goal is around 145 pounds by the end of 10 weeks, which is highly possible. If I feel like I need to turn it up a notch, then I will turn it up a notch. So yeah, this is pretty much basically the ending of this video. I hope this video helps out a lot of people out there. I hope this video teaches a lot about carb cycling. If this is your first time on this channel, then make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, because I'm going to be notifying you guys on my basically progress in the next couple of weeks as well. Remember, this is my progress then, this is my progress right now. It's pretty damn dope, you guys. I'm pretty excited for this. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Reach down to